everyone. In this video I am going to speak on the United Nations. United Nations is a very vast topic, and it's difficult to do justice to this topic in a short video. But here we'll look at only at a glance, and I'll speak on five different aspects of the UN: origin and history of the UN. We'll also look at its main bodies, then the UN in a unipolar world, how it is in a unipolar world. We'll also have a brief look at a Security Council, and then we will conclude. So now I would like you to see a picture that depicts the death and destruction caused by the Second World War in 1945, how the nations were in ruin. The World War II was over, but the world wanted peace. And this picture depicts the destruction caused by the World War II. Here is another picture of the World War II only. And this is the picture. The first one was the picture of Europe. And this is the picture of Japan, how the atom bombs caused heavy loss, horrific destruction and death of the people. And it's a very, very moving picture. So these two pictures are only the representative of the major horrific and terrible things that happened after the Second World War. But the leaders at that time, they did feel the need of an international body. So we'll come to the origin and history of the United Nations. Before United Nations, was there any international body? Yes, there was, which is called League of Nations. And it was established in 1919 after the First World War. But as the League of Nations failed to prevent Second World War, the leaders of that time, they felt the need of another body, and that is how the UN came into being. The initiatives for the establishment of the UN had started in 1941 itself, and this term United Nations was coined by the President of the United States, Franklin Roosevelt. The UN came into being in 1945 on 26 October, when 50 nations in San Francisco, USA, signed the UN Charter. The year was 1945 and the date was 26 October. Now the main bodies of the UN are General Assembly, Security Council, Economic and Social Council, International Court of Justice, and the Secretariat. There are one or two more, the major bodies I have not included, and there are so many other subsidiary bodies which are equally important, which are also important. We'll have a look at these right now only. The first is a general body which has 193 members, and the decisions of General Assembly are to have either 2/3 of majority, or in some cases only a simple majority. But the decisions of the General Assembly may not be binding on the members of the UN. Now the second body is Security Council. Security Council is a very powerful body of the UN which has 15 members, 5 permanent and 10 non-permanent. And the decisions of Security Council are binding on the members. So that is, generally they are binding on the members. So that's the difference. Security Council happens to be a very powerful body. Then we have the Economic and Social Council having 54 seats and elected by these seats. These members here are elected by the General Assembly. The International Court of Justice has 15 judges, and each judge has a term of 9 years, and the process of appointment includes the approval of General Assembly and Security Council both. Secretariat is the body which looks after all the affairs of the United Nations, and the head of that is the Secretary General, who on the recommendation of the Security Council is appointed by the General Assembly. So these are the important bodies of the UN about which I have said, about which I have spoken. Now the next, we will look at the UN in a unipolar world. What is this unipolar? Unipolar is having just one pole, and we all know that the world has only one superpower, and that is the USA. So it's a unipolar world dominated by the USA. The US has a major say in the UN by virtue of various reasons. Of course, the first is the US is the sole superpower since the late 80s after the collapse of the USSR. It is the highest contributor to the UN budget. It contributes 22% of the UN budget. The UN headquarters are also located in the US territory. It adds to the advantage of the US. UN, of course, is one of the 5 powers in the Security Council, which has the veto power. It also has a major say in the selection of Secretary General. So by virtue of all these reasons, US enjoys the maximum powers in the UN. It has a major say in the UN, maximum say in the UN. So we'll go to the next, that is its most powerful body. Security Council is the most powerful body of the United Nations. And it has 15 members, I have already mentioned, but it is not a representative body as one can see. Earlier it had only 11 members, 5 permanent members were the same, but 6 members were non-permanent. Now 10 members are non-permanent, and they are being elected by the General Assembly for a period of 2 years. Each permanent member has the veto power. Now the last point is, can we think of a Security Council without any veto? I think we can't. We can't think of that. A Security Council is not a perfect body. It is not a representative body, not fulfilling the aspirations of the countries at large or the world at large. But if the veto power is removed from these 5 countries, which are the powerful countries in the world, then even otherwise they can exercise their power by remaining outside Security Council, by remaining outside the UN. So there is no point, it's of no use removing the veto power from them. The number of countries having veto power may be and should be increased from 5 to more. That discussions for reforms have been taking place. Now conclusion, whether how effective the UN is that way. Is it able to resolve conflicts? Is it able to do its work as it should be doing? These are some of the questions, and the answers to these questions are not easy. I have taken 2 quotes in this regard. The first one is the quote from the second Secretary General of the UN, who says that the United Nations was not created to take humanity to heaven, but to save it from hell. And the second one is by Shashi Tharoor, the former Under Secretary General of the UN, who quotes Winston Churchill to say that jaw is better than war. Of course, UN is unable to take actions, but it keeps on discussing, it keeps on talking. Jaw here represents talk. So it keeps on talking and talking and talking. So it's better to talk than to have war. That's what Churchill said. So I think this is the situation, this is the status of the UN. It is not a perfect body, it is not a perfect international body, but Not having a body like this is going to be even worse. These are the sources I have quoted. The first one is the UN site itself, the second is a book by NCERT, and third, I have taken a few pics from Wikipedia Commons. So that's all from me on the UN at a glance. Thank you.